Hello, James. How are you? Nice to see you here.
Yeah, good to meet you too. So we're in San Gimignano, and we're at an arte event. It's a 25-year celebration of their work that's installing contemporary art in a ancient town, sort of medieval Renaissance town. And in fact, I first started to come here in the 1990s.
1990s?
No, in the 90s, not 1990, but in the 90s, when they were doing innovative projects, very site-specific, installing contemporary works among the kind of architecture and artifacts of San Gimignano, and of course the other towns around the surrounding towns. And I found it kind of interesting because it was similar to what I was doing, juxtaposing contemporary art in museum collections, although in a way I was looking at Italy as a sort of big museum where you were installing work outside. And I thought it was very important for bringing new audiences.
Yes, and I think it's what you said before. It's lovely to have this combination between a living, because as you said, it's a living museum.
Yeah, it's a living museum, and also quite refreshing. I think a lot of people's vision of contemporary art is seeing art against a sort of white background, which was a very kind of bit of a synthetic political thing brought about by the Museum of Modern Art in New York, the idea of a very sterile white space.
Yes.
Whereas I think what you see by putting contemporary art in a historical space is an interesting dialogue or conversation between, the old and the new.
But James, thank you. I know I took you during a lunchtime. I got a few minutes and a few glimpses of your inspiration to this incredible event that gathered, after to see so many people back and together and living art. I think it's a wonderful. It's a wonderful event to go back to the past.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, they've been showing all the projects they've done over the last 25 years, which is incredible, and so we've been watching all these videos of the previous projects and seeing everyone look a bit much younger and that kind of thing. To see what they've achieved, also leaving some permanent works, which is also important, rather than being ephemeral works just happened at the time. Some of the works were negotiated to be permanent, so the local people could see these works.
Anything that you really loved or got inspired?
I particularly loved what we went to yesterday, the Fonte de Fact at the Poggibonsi,
yes,
with Mima Palladino and Brian Eno installation.
Incredible.
It's really beautiful. It's sort of, it doesn't really need an explanation or text. It's just a very what's become a bit of a buzzword, the idea of immersive art, but it's you're there and you're kind of taking it all in. You don't need to read anything about it. It's just all there. It's very atmospheric. It's very meaningful in that space to hear the music and see
it. Was incredible. It was incredible.
I Domienti, yeah, it's called, yeah.
Bellissimo. Thank you, James, and welcome to Italy, San Gimignano. Ciao. See you very soon, though. Bye. Mario, com'è andata? How was it? It was an incredible, inspiring art talk.
Allora,
Ecco, Walter, qua. Yeah.
we have do this 25 years from the beginning of this project made by the Cultural Association.
Yes.
It's a part non-profit of my activity of galleries, because I like divide very clear when I do project for the community and when I do project for the individual. Arte l'arte remain with the many works in this countryside, from Montalcino, where the best Brunello in the world, to San Gimignano with Vernaccia, but we have also a lot of very good parts to connect our body, our health physically with our health mentally. Art is like air
Food
for our blood, oxygen, our blood intellectual, and food, oxygen, our blood physical.
Grazie, Mario. I know you have so many people that would like to talk to you, and thank you so much for giving me
Galleria,
few minutes.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday. Grazie, Mario. Thank you. Bye. Ciao, come stai? It's so nice to have you with us today in the Art Talks.
We are here
Yes.
with the sun,
Yes.
with you,
Yes.
and happy to share our history. And we try to find all the time an occasion to do party, to eat, to drink.
Yes, but only.
No, the
only...
art is our way to be happy. So we start our project a long time ago, Galleria Continua in 1990.
And you are a dream,
Arte-
and you are an utopistic dream. I've realized.
Yes, we have to dream to do something incredible,
Yes,
no? Otherwise,
yes.
we do nothing. So we are here today, still young,
Very young. Yes.
so
indeed.
ready to fly again
Yes.
in the new projects. That's why we did the Boccata d'Arte, where we do a project with a young artist in all regions in Italy, choosing one small town
Yes.
to have a nice relationship together, no?
Yes.
Stay in the square, we drink, we speak about art, and also another project called Italics Panorama,
Yes.
where we want to travel around the Italy with new production, new adventure. So to see here today so many friends, artists, creators with a smile, wonderful smiles, give us the energy to continua.
È vero. Grazie.
Ciao, we are here celebrating Art all'Arte, a great project in the past. Hope that they will become some very good example for all Italy from now on, and we start some very beautiful again project with young artists, young curator, young people involved, and they will express the possibility and the joy and the freedom that art can do.
Thank you.
Ciao.
It's again so inspiring and touching, and you should be an example for all the art world. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye. Thank
Ciao.
you.
Idea of what kind of could say like kind of intervention in historical spaces with contemporary spaces was very much a new thing for people didn't understand that kind of thing. At that time, I was a curator at the British Museum, dealing with ancient Egyptian sculpture, what I specialize in, but I was also very interested in contemporary art. I started to invite artists to put their contemporary works in stall among the Egyptian sculpture in the gallery of the British Museum, which was, as you know, like nowadays museums, it's a common thing to invite artists to have residences and do things.
Which artist at first?
We had people like Mark Quinn, who was, British conceptual artist, part of YBA movement. But there was about 12 artists. I won't go through all of them, but the thing was that it was a very new thing. It was probably part of a sort of worldwide phenomenon that there were other curators doing it. It was easier for me because I was already an intervention in the museum, because I was there. If I was an outside person, I couldn't have done it, and I didn't tell them everything I was going to do. They thought I was going to put a few paintings in there. They didn't think I was going to put a frozen frog in a display case and that kind of thing. But anyway, the point was that I saw it as a way of reanimating the museum, and also of inviting different audiences, because a lot of young people went to the museum when they were at school, but they thought it was a boring place. They would go to Tate Gallery, but not to British Museum. So it was a big thing for bringing an audience into the museum. So this was, when I saw what they were doing, Continua were doing here, I saw a sort of connection, because in a way Italy is very different than, say, UK. The whole of Italy is like a museum, but an outside museum. So I saw what they were doing. It was in a way similar to what I was doing in an interior museum, but they were doing it outside. And so, this was an interesting way of connecting. their sort of model, albeit a kind of business model of the public-private thing that you mentioned, was also a very unique thing, where each of them were feeding each other. So the public and private thing were helping each other, and were helping to bring, really prominent contemporary artists by inviting curators. Could bring in these artists also kind of seduced by the lovely food and wine and all this kind of thing, and the warm hospitality that they got here. I also think it's very important to think that a lot of contemporary art is exhibited in a white space, a very clinical space, and to have that conversation, that interaction between, like the historical old things, brings something else. The two things come together in a conversation, and yet they create something else. And also, they create different audiences within that thing. So the public-private kind of thing is an interesting thing. Also because